Every now and then I get a little bit tired listening to the sound that my tears turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit terrified. I see that fucking look in your eyes. Turn around right now. Every now and then I wanna fuck. Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you don't even gotta pay for that. That was free. Monday, coming at you hot. Welcome to 7 Minutes in Evan. We getting deep in Evan this week. Huh? What? Bars. Sometimes I just gotta come in hot at you guys. Wake you the fuck up. It's Monday, President's Day. God bless America. God bless America. You know what? I say that completely honestly. God bless America. I feel like there's way too many people act like this country is going to shit. Go look at China, all right? I love Chinese food. I love Chinese people. But a lot of times, we get way too soft in America, you know? We get way too soft and people start taking it for granted. You know, they think that life is this easy and or because life is easy, they don't have respect for how hard life really is for other people. You know, some people, you're like, you don't know how good you got it till it's gone, you know? When people, douchebag girls or guys, yeah, I don't discriminate. They break up with someone who treated them so good, That's the tale as old as time. You never know what you have until it's gone. Guess what? Y'all can go live in China. Y'all want to talk shit about America? Go to China. You see how China is handling this whole coronavirus thing. Okay? Shooting you down in the street? Okay. You want to have a daughter? No bueno. We're going to kill it. Yeah. Keep thinking America's that bad. Bars. American bars on President's Day. I'm just fired up patriotically, America's not perfect, but you know what? We're the best goddamn nation in this goddamn world. Until we get to Mars and they start making new Americas, this one is the best, okay? This is the best America on the planet. Maybe not the best food, but then again, we got all the food, okay? Okay? You want to complain about America. And, I make jokes that, ethnic food is so much better. But that's the beautiful thing about America. We are a melting pot of every single culture. People are like, you got to go to Italy to have some amazing Italian food. No, I don't. I bet I can find just as good, authentic Italian food in America. I don't need to go to Italy for the Italian pasta. Huh? Some of that fettuccine. I'm probably wrong, though. I've never been to Italy, so it's not like I'm like, this is like DiGiorno. I'm sure it's much better in Italy, so before people start messaging me thinking I'm talking about them, listen, my Italian friends, anybody, I'm not taking shots at you personally, okay? Everybody's a goddamn victim now. And that wasn't me victimizing the people that were previously victims on previous podcasts. I've been catching so much flack lately. I didn't realize everybody was so goddamn sensitive. While the podcast numbers are up, so are the people thinking I'm talking about them. I don't even say anything controversial. People getting at me. Just like Biggie said, more money, more problems. More podcast listens, more problems. People telling me I've changed. You goddamn right I've changed. And I ain't never going back. All right? I ain't never going back. America. Oh, coming at you hot. I was just spitting. You guys are wondering what all this is. If you guys are watching the video thinking that this is pre-workout, I learned my lesson. 3 mild heart or panic attacks last podcast. I learned my lesson, It's just some of that stevia sweetened flavor shit. Juice. Sugar-free, made with stevia, Crystal Light, or something like that. Bars. That's all I be drinking. You can't be drinking real juice, all that sugar. Your body don't need that. That shit's crazy. You ever seen the film? It's a great movie. That Sugar Film is what it's called. Breaks down the corruption of the sugar industry, how they paid off scientists and doctors to approve that it was fat that was making people unhealthy, giving them a diabetes and cholesterol. It was all sham. We all got hoodwinked. it was sugar the entire time. And the reason why they were doing it, they wanted to stuff sugar into everything. They shoehorned it into freaking ketchup. There's so much ketchup or sugar and ketchup that was added. I recently went to the store and I got no sugar added ketchup, 1 gram sugar. I've been fucking around with this 8 grams of sugar in my goddamn catsup. Why? Didn't really taste much different. You know, having regular ketchup with 1 gram of sugar ketchup. You know, I'll take that one. You know, I'm not a person who's like, you know, no sugar. Like, I'll eat natural sugar. If it's in something, I mean, I try to stay away from. If it's in ice cream, I'll have it, you know, because I can eat my ice cream. But like apples, fruit, stuff like that, I'll bring it through. This is what Evan normally does. People ask me. I just did that YouTube thing. People always ask me, what is my skincare routine? So here you go, guys. I use Monet. I don't. That wasn't a goddamn pyramid scheme endorsement, okay? Sorry, I just had to drink my drink. I got to figure out a solution. This is way too loud. But people do ask me, Evan, what is your daily intake? You seem like a healthy fella. And, you know, in my ripe old age of 32, I like to consider myself a healthy fella. And I've done everything. You know, I've gone through all the nutritional phases. And what works for me is just consistency. I don't need to go crazy with my diet, and I'm not trying to be keto. I'm not trying to be vegan. I did for a half second think about doing this crazy thing where I was going to try being carnivore diet for 30 days, hashtag Joe Rogan. And then I was going to flip over to 30 days vegan and then compare it. But then I'm like, why? Why the fuck would I want to do that with my time? You know, just going to make my life harder for no reason, you know, just because I'm bored. There's little kids in Africa that wish they could eat something more than Jell-O. And I'm over here like, oh, let me just eat all the meat in the world. And then be like, oh, let me just eat all the veggies in the world. But that's why we're America. And that's why we're the greatest country in the world. So suck it, haters. But the little kids in Africa probably eat more organic meat than I eat, you know. I be getting those sales at Vaughn's. You know, I'm thrifty as fuck. I ain't paying full price for meat. Giggity. You know, I'll pay full price for a hunting tag and a hunting license and go hunt my organic elk. Torture-free elk. I'm surgical with that goddamn arrow. I actually have no idea if I'm surgical with an arrow. You know, but I like to get me some nice New York steak, some ribeyes. Oh, I just recently got some for like $4.99 a pound. Bars. Saving bars at Vaughn's for ribeye. And if you know ribeye, that's a goddamn great price for ribeye. So I try to stock up. I use those, you know, you always see me grilling on the gram. What are they? The food saver bags that like suck all the air out of it, vacuum sealed bags. I do that. I weigh them. I put the, what kind it is, when I was bought it, just to keep it, you know, efficient. Efficiency is my brand name. But my daily intake of food for a while, and I still do it, but stand up sometimes it gets rough doing this. For a few years, I did intermittent fasting religiously, where I would stop eating at 7 p.m. and I'd start eating again at 11 a.m. And for a while, it was turning into me eating at like 9 p.m. or even 10 sometimes, because with stand-up, it's if I have a show or just I'm going out to perform in LA or something, no matter what, I'm going to be getting back from LA at like 11 or 12, like midnight, you know, sometimes 1, 2. And it's rough. It's rough if I didn't eat dinner before that and I got to eat something. So obviously, you know, intermittent fasting is, if you don't know, where you only eat within a certain window. So what I was doing was, I believe, 16-hour fasting, where from 7 p.m. to 11 a.m. I ate nothing. So my body got 16 hours without eating. The idea behind that is it kind of cleanses your body, gives your stomach a rest, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting exactly the details. Well, basically what happens is your organs get a rest and there's cells released that go and help your body fix any issues and recovery with those organs. So you end up getting more rest, more recovery. Natural HGH is released, allegedly. And it's just overall better for your system. It gives you kind of a full reset. And I felt fucking great. I was losing too much weight to where I was having to eat a lot more often. I was just eating avocados and just trying to get my fat intake up, because I went from, like, normally I'm around like 165 is what a good weight for me is. And I dropped down to like under 155, really fast. Like, I went low. I was like, what the fuck? And I got super lean, fucking diesel, jacked. And I didn't really like it. I don't like being that skinny. So I had to, and it was just because I saw that I was going to keep losing weight unless I adjusted it. So I kept eating more and more. But I ran into issues with stand-up, again, being out so late and getting hungry. And also jiu-jitsu, I usually do only the day class because I'm doing stand-up. So I can only make the 11 a.m. class. And with that happening, kind of throws a wrench into things, because then I was even fasting until like 1:30 when I would finally get back from jiu-jitsu. So it was rough. So I've become a little more lax with it, where now I eat at like 10 a.m. and then I eat in the evenings. I'll even have dinner as late as like 8:39, which is a bummer, but you got to do what you got to do. I'd rather get more calories in than be worried about that. But what I have for breakfast, I sometimes would do oatmeal, a cup of oatmeal with 2 cups of water, and I'll put that in the microwave for a couple minutes. Just the steel cut oats, just plain, none of the sugar, strawberries and cream, peaches and cream, apples. That shit is fucking phenomenal tasting, but it's got like 11 grams of sugar per a packet. No bueno. Your daily intake is supposed to be like 15 grams of sugar. You're already knocking out 85% of that shit with your packet of oatmeal, healthy oatmeal, quotations. So I would do that, and then I would put 8 apricot seeds. 8 apricot seeds. You're like, Evan, why does it have to be 8? Good question, because it's very high in all your B vitamins and niacin and everything. But catch this, 8 is the limit because it also has cyanide in it. And if you eat way too many of them, it can become toxic in your body. So you have to limit it to like 8 a day. Crazy. I'm just fucking Russian roulette every single day. Someone's going to try to poison me with cyanide, and I'm just going to be like, you think darkness is your ally. I was born in this. Obscure Batman reference for some of you. But yeah, I was doing that for a while, but I switched back to doing... and then I would put 2 stevia and cinnamon in there. Mix that bitch up. Bars. Delicious. Sometimes a little handful of blueberries. That'll get me all my fiber and little sweetness from the fruit. And yeah, that was delicious, but sometimes I don't like that much fiber. It can mess you up. But what I've been doing lately, and I love it, is I go to Costco. I'm always at Costco. I love it. They have that big tub of Greek yogurt, and I get the plain non-fat or whatever it is. It has like 4 or 5 grams of sugar, all natural, I think, or maybe it's like 2 or 3 grams of sugar. Forgot the brand, but it's the biggest plain one. I do half a cup of that, 8 of my apricot seeds. You know why. A packet of stevia, 2 packets of stevia actually, cinnamon, maybe a few pieces of fruit. Bars. Delicious. And that's the best thing that I like to do, because it's super high in digestive enzymes and probiotics, and it has a ton of protein in it. So diesel bars, you got to get that protein, you got to get those digestive enzymes, the probiotics and the acidophilus. Those are huge. And for me, the reason why I take those is because I do something called jiu-jitsu. And jiu-jitsu is very high risk for staph, ringworm, and any other weird bodily infections. And I am, knock on wood, very good at not getting it. I haven't had staph in my life, and I've only gotten ringworm once, and that was because I didn't really know what I was doing when I first started jiu-jitsu. And yeah, but now I use defense soap. I mean, I was using it then, but it just somehow, But ever since I started upping my yogurt, very high in probiotics, which helps fight. It gives you a healthy flora. The defense is so you can avoid even getting it. And also I put sauerkraut on my eggs after jiu-jitsu. So I'll just run you through this. Anybody who's interested in this, you can listen to this, or you can just fast forward to bullshit. But my daily intake of food, what I normally do, like planning out my meals, is I'll do that before jiu-jitsu. Right after jiu-jitsu, which I'll bring with me, is just a protein shake. It'll just be water, creatine, and a scoop of the protein from, you guessed it, Costco. Just the whey Bollock or something like that. Whatever the hydrolyzed one is, because it's better on your stomach. It won't mess you up like some whey protein will. So I'll do that. Just water, protein, creatine, boom, right after. And then once I get back, I do that like within 15 minutes of rolling. So I'm still stretching and everything. Then once I get back, I shower, defense soap, everything, clean up. I'll do 4 eggs and sauerkraut. And sometimes I'll have ground turkey with it, or like green zucchini or squash. I'll put some capers on them, olives, really good B vitamins in those. And that's my lunch. Oh, and as soon as I wake up, this is the big thing. I know I'm throwing a lot at you guys, but if you're interested in this kind of thing, it's cool. I do a huge cup of water with glutamine and lysine in it. I'll just put a teaspoon of both of those. Glutamine is very good for helping your stomach lining, and lysine is really good for your skin, your hair, your nails, and everything like that. So when you're ever like, wow, Evan looks like he's drinking the Fountain of Youth, that's my blend. That's what I do to maintain. And that's all I'm trying to do. I'm not one of these people who, like, I won't ever do anything to my body, like, in the sense of like facial things. Like someone asked me, dude, what happens if your hair starts falling out? Like, cause I've had people tell me that I'm the John Stamos of comedy, and it's so funny, but I'm known for my hair for some reason. And people ask me, Evan, what happens if your hair falls out? Is it going to be a mental breakdown? Are you going to a wig? Nah, I'm just shaving it off. Listen, any cosmetic shit like that, when the party's over, it's over. All right? Like, I just move on. I keep it moving, pimping, You got to keep it moving, pimping. That's what I'm going to do. If my hair starts falling out, I'm not going to try. I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to like, oh shit, I need to do this and start doing a wig. As soon as this bitch is gone, it's gone. As soon as I start getting like crazy wrinkles, I got like the smiling crow feet, like when I laugh and everything. I don't really care. That's the perspective on like natural aging things, is you got to just accept life in that aspect. But you don't go down without a fight. All right? I just want to keep my body good inside and out for as long as I can. Like, I'm going to age. You can't fight that. I hate when people do that shit. When they're just like, oh, what's the point in working out and staying healthy? We're all going to die. We're all going to end up in the same place. I'm like, yeah, but the last 15 years, you might be in a wheelchair, and I'm going to be fucking doing backflips in Cirque du Soleil, I mean, that's a little dramatic. I mean, I probably won't be unless they ask me, and then I probably would be like, okay. But that's what it all is like, I just want to be good. I don't want to die from the diabetes, so as long as I can keep this party rocking, we're going to do it. Okay. And, I think one of those things that you got to do is just take good care of your body. This is the only car we got, yet. I don't think in our lifetime we're going to have some good enough shit to be able to just switch brains into a new body. Maybe one day. Once that day happens, then I'm turning into fucking Grand Theft Auto. I'm like, oh, I'm going to run this shit through a fucking wall. I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to set up my bodies, like I'm going to have them already like marked out. I'm going to be like, this is my cocaine body. This is the body that I'm going to die from an overdose of cocaine. Cool. Okay, that's heroin. Heroin's coming down the mill. and then I'm going to have my heroin body, and then we'll have just going to go fucking wild with it. Like, why not? That might be the last thing I ever do is heroin. Like, when I'm on my deathbed, I'll probably just be like, hey, son, I know this is a hard moment for you, okay? Hey, stop crying. I know this is hard, okay? Obviously, I'm your dad. I get it. But I'm going to need you to go to downtown LA or South Central or somewhere. I don't know. That's how you know I don't do heroin, because I don't even know where to buy it. It's kind of a red flag if someone does know where to buy heroin. Like, if you make a joke about heroin and the buddy's like, oh man, yeah, you could probably get it for like $40. And they're just looking at you. You're just like, oh shit. All right. Kind of a red flag. Kind of crazy that you just knew that top of your head. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I don't know where to buy heroin. No idea. But, yeah, I'm just trying to take care of my vehicle. This body. I don't know why I sang that. Sometimes I just like singing. I think it's like these headphones and this microphone brings me to the point where I'm always like, it's time to sing. We gotta sing, Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you be mine? I saw that movie, actually. I know I totally just skimmed over the rest of my food. We'll do that more organized later. I'm sorry, guys. That's a cliffhanger until the next food podcast. I saw that movie Friday night, I believe. Mr. Rogers. Great flick. Tom Hanks is amazing. He killed that role. And I never was someone who grew up with Mr. Rogers. But it's an amazing story. And even Tom Hanks, there was never, because man, it's hard to pull that off. What Mr. Rogers did without seeming creepy, to be that good with kids and that into kids without being creepy is a feat in itself. Some of the things he was doing and saying, it never felt creepy. And I kind of went into kind of a rabbit hole of researching Mr. Rogers and what he was for the community and what he represented. It was a beautiful goddamn thing. That was a beautiful man, Beautiful man. I think I said that was a beautiful man. Pretty sure he's still alive, right? Mr. Rogers? I don't even know. I don't know what the fuck I'm even talking about. I just really liked that movie. And I thought it was a beautiful story. And it's one of those movies where you come away with maybe I shouldn't be such a piece of shit in my life. Maybe I should be nice to strangers. Which I try to be. I try to be nice to people, But I love the movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. You'll enjoy it. It's a great story, and it does kind of give you a perspective on how you should be in your own life. That reminds me, I saw today there was the opposite of Mr. Rogers. This bishop had to come out and make a public address about a priest who says, hey, pedophilia is not as bad as abortion, because in pedophilia, nobody gets killed. What? Huh? The fuck did you just say? It blows my goddamn mind that even... I was talking to a buddy of mine. He was like, at what point do you think he thought that thought and then was like, at one point, how much time after that was he like, yeah, this is still a good thing to say out loud? I couldn't imagine ever having that thought. I can't even fathom that thought of in reality of saying. But I couldn't imagine it actually coming out of my mouth, even if I was like, hey, well, no one gets killed. And it's just like, what? You think that's okay to say? Especially as a priest? And listen, I don't want to start attacking religion and everything like that, but I'm gonna. Nah, I'm just kidding. I made some people pucker up, huh? They're all this son of a bitch. Better not trigger me. Trigger the Lord. But it is kind of crazy. This is sometimes when people are too, because I don't know, if there is a God and everything like that. I don't think it's this God, I don't think it's these guys' boss. I don't think that's who God is. Because wouldn't you fire your employees? Like at some point you got to step in. There's like God might be the king of macromanaging, where he's just like, hey, they'll figure it out. You just got to let them be for a few thousand years, but they'll figure it out. No, maybe step in early and be like, hey, do a little bit of micromanaging, God, okay? Why'd God make so many appearances early on? Then he was like, all right, I'm out. God just went out for a pack of smokes. He was like, y'all got this? Oh, y'all learned about fire. Okay, we did the whole. I only did the boat once, okay? I only make a flood once. I promise I'll never do that again. You can break your promise, okay, on that maybe. Maybe you don't even have to do a flood. Maybe lightning to some of these priests. They're kind of abusing their power, right? Literally abusing their power. That's a wild thing. That blows my mind. A priest said that in church. Can you imagine being the parent of a kid who was working with these priests? Like an altar boy? I'd be like, Timmy, get the fuck down right now. Come here. Go wait in the car. We're going to talk. Oh, that shit gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's weird. Yeah. It's crazy when you think about how many people died and just how much corruption in the name of religion. It's kind of spooky. And now when you see people who are insanely into it and just super by the book, literally, it's almost creepy to me. It's spooky when they're so like the blinders of just, no, this is the word. Yeah, listen, when they take everything so literal. And listen, I have my own beliefs. I think, there's got to be something out there. There's got to be. This is just, I don't think it's just a blank thing. I think there's a lot of shit going on we just can't explain. And there's some other shit out there. That's my belief on it, is that I don't think it's just lights out end of things, because there's you hear about when people are doing DMT and mushrooms and all this stuff that you have in ayahuasca, you kind of have these otherworldly experiences. And I think sometimes my thought on that kind of stuff is we're probably not tuned in hard enough to be able to experience things without that. That's like adding some broadband or an antenna to your receptor of being able to get some shit that's around us probably and tune into it. I think even if you think about it, everyday life, we go through it with so many distractions now that we're never really even tuned into our own surroundings, like the people around us and what's going on. Sometimes I go out with people and they're just on their phone and they're not tuned into the conversation. They're not tuned into the room of who's in here and who's doing what. Just oblivious to the world because they're so distracted by their own devices, literally. And it's like when you're listening to a song, and I would do this with music all the time. This is one of my favorite things I would love to do when I was in Puerto Rico. Smoke a little bit of that devil's lettuce. You put on your headphones with the music, and then you just try separating every instrument that you're hearing. Sometimes, and it became like a secondary reaction when I would listen to music all the time. So I'd be listening to a song with a buddy, and I'd be like, dude, the high end that they put on that hi-hat, when it's hitting on every eighth, it's just tick, 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 tick. And he'd be like, what? And then I'd be like, yeah, listen to that hi-hat that's hitting on every eight, bop, 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 bop. And then he'd be like, oh shit, I never heard that. So it's little stuff like that where there's so much going on that we just don't even aren't even aware of. And that's when you're out in the woods, you're like, dude, you hear that bird? You're like, what bird? And you're like, is that an owl? And then you're like, listen. And then you hear the ooh, ooh, ooh. You're like, oh shit. No, that's actually a mourning dove. My bad. But you know what point I'm trying to make, and that we're just not tuned into it. That's my theory on what's going on in the world, what's going on in the universe, all this energy shit. That's what I think's going on. Bars. That's my belief system. But it's crazy to me when people have such blinders on of what their belief is and what they're into. And yeah, it's kind of spooky. It's kind of spooky when people are so hard into it. It's kind of crazy when people have their belief system, and I get you got to have some, but it's just so like, listen, hey, you don't have to figure out this problem right now. God's got you. And I'm just like, what? I shouldn't put any effort into trying to figure that. Big man's got you. Leave it to him. And I'm like, well, the house is on fire. I should probably figure this out a little bit. I mean, God's not going to, I don't know if God does have me right now, maybe in the afterlife, because he's letting these priests do all these things. I mean, those are kind of his employees. You think they would get reprimanded a little bit. Maybe make a, I don't know, an example out of them. You know, maybe make them get coronavirus or something. I saw that they were looking at the cause of what was causing coronavirus. And it's kind of nuts because we're like, coronavirus is a joke to us. Like, we're just like, yeah, that's coronavirus. Thank God I drink Medea. It's a joke to us. There are so many cases going on now, and things are just growing exponentially. That's how you know I'm smart. I say things like exponentially. I've been waiting to drop that. They found out that the cause of this coronavirus outbreak, pangolins. Pangolins. If you don't know what that is, this is a pangolin. That line is only going to make sense if I make a video for this, because I'm not going to go back and edit this. But here's what you can do if I didn't make a video for this. Google it. Pangolin. It's this little scaly animal that I didn't even know it is the most sought after animal on the black market. But you know what's funny? When I was Googling them and looking at them, it looks like they know that they caused the coronavirus. It looks like in every picture, they're just coming hat in hand and being like, hey, we're really sorry about this. This is our bad. All right, listen, we know we fucked up. As a pangolin and a representative of all pangolins in the world, my bad. Okay, we're gonna make this better. Somehow we're gonna make this better. You know, I don't get how they are so sought after. I would just think dogs are the most, like, it's because they're legal, you know. But I feel like I would for sure take a cheetah over a pangolin. A pangolin, that thing does not look nice to cuddle with. You can't cuddle with a pangolin. A pangolin is only cool for like 30 seconds. Then you just put it in the backyard like it's a pet tortoise. I had a friend growing up who had a pet tortoise. Most of the time I went to their house, I didn't even believe them because they'd be like, yeah, we have a tortoise. And I'm like, where's it at? I don't know, somewhere in the backyard. And since I was a little kid and I was obsessed with animals, I'd be like, show me your goddamn tortoise. And then we'd go searching through the backyard for the tortoise. Never would find it. I think I saw their tortoise once. I was friends with them for years. And I was like, when I finally saw it, I was like, oh, okay. This might have been coincidence that we live in the desert, and one of the times over the years we've looked for your pet tortoise, we found a tortoise in your backyard. It's possible that's coincidence, okay? But that's what a pangolin is. It's so scaly. It's got little beady eyes. You can't trust it, you know? I'm not having a pet as a pangolin. Doesn't look fun at all. It would just watch someone break into your house with his little hands like, oh, he's going to be real mad about that. Only dope part is if they were able to give the person breaking in coronavirus. Then it'd be pretty cool, you know? Yeah. I'm going to make some ribeye tonight. Make some veggies. That's the rest of my diet, guys. I just steak, veggies, eggs, chicken wings. I like on Saturday nights to have some chicken wings. And yeah, I try to stay away from sweets. That's mainly it. Right now, in front of every store, you see the little girls slanging them Girl Scout cookies, also known as diabetes in a box. What? How ridiculous I think it is that we are still slanging Girl Scout cookies. It makes no goddamn sense. Everything we know about diabetes and all this sugar, heart attacks. I wonder the increase in heart attacks during the Girl Scout cookie season, if there's a number that heart attacks actually go up. So one of these little girls is actually giving people heart attacks. There is at least one transaction where a little girl goes, "Thanks, mister," gives the old man a box of cookies, and because he got that box of cookies, it ultimately led to his death. Girl Scouts of America, that blood's on your hands, all right? Need to change that up. We should have Girl Scout cookies selling gym memberships and shit, you know? Over here, pushing them drugs on us. I saw even driving down the street, the parents just selling Girl Scout cookies. It's crazy because there's such like an incentive to these parents of like, your girl has to sell this many and blah, blah, blah. And there's like this competition shit. And I saw this family. It was like, I saw them for weeks. It was only the parents selling cookies. They were outside their house and they had signs going down the street selling cookies. And it was like, you would be driving up, be like, Girl Scouts coming up on the left. And then I would get there and it was parents with their signs like, buy our Girl Scout cookies. There wasn't a girl in sight. Very sketchy. And I'm like, hey, you need to teach that little shit some discipline and responsibility and have them out slanging cookies. It was just adults. There was like 4 of them. What are you doing? Ugh. Pisses me off. Oh, what do I want to talk about? What else? I just watched that show on Netflix. I'm about 4 or 5 episodes in. Cheer on Netflix. That shit is insane. And for a weird reason that they don't, it was a junior college. If you don't know what it is, it's basically a documentary style series where they follow a junior college cheerleading team in Texas through their season. And let me tell you, bro, that shit is so intense. Okay? These girls and guys be putting in so much work for a junior college level sport. And I don't say that with disrespect. I say that with admiration because, you know, I come from Ventura College swim team, which was an insanely intense college program for a community college level sport. I think we were like 2nd or 3rd in the nation. I believe when I was there, it was like Diablo Valley and some team in Florida was like better than us. But it was so intense. And this show is a lot like this, where this is everything to these girls and guys that are on this cheerleading team. And it shows me another world of that I just had no idea about. It's like the furry community to me. That's what this cheer world is now. Because I just didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know that it was so intense. It was so competitive. There was cheerlebrities, which are celebrity cheerleaders. I didn't know that was a thing. And there are just people who it's all their life. There was a couple people on it. Their parents were like so involved. There's one girl in there, Gabby. I'm sure if you watch the show, you're like, oh yeah, Gabby's fucking killing it. Her parents are a little intense. I wanted to punch both of them in the face. And I'm like, you need to let this girl be a goddamn girl, okay? They were like, you need to post your pictures in the bikini for the bikini business because this is about all of us. No, it's just about her, okay? You need to get your own hobbies and let this girl be a girl. Let her enjoy her life. That shit weirds me out when people pimp their kids and they're just like, they put the whole family, everything focused around their kid. That ain't healthy. You know, I see it with, you see it in jiu-jitsu, you see it in boxing. And you know what ends up happening later on in life? Those people just burn out and they don't want to do it anymore because they were always doing it for the wrong reasons. They were never doing it for themselves. And Yeah, those helicopter parents like that is pretty insane. Helicopter parents is a soft way to say what I'm trying to say right now. That they were just so over the top involved in an unhealthy way with their daughter. But I love, if you've seen it, the character Jerry. Inspirational story. Jerry, I love you. I'll support you to the end of the day. I was literally clapping last night watching when Jerry got the opportunity to be on mat. You know, there's only 20 people on the actual mat during competition. Everybody else is on the sidelines giving their mat talk. I was clapping when Jerry got his opportunity to be on the mat. Inspirational story. He has made it through some hard stuff, and I just love seeing people get their opportunity. And if it doesn't pan out in the show, you're going to have a hell of a life. And I know people find you inspirational and funny and just a character. So keep it moving, Jerry. Keep it moving. Crazy thing about it, though, these girls were getting like knocked the fuck out. This is a more dangerous sport than MMA. Like watching it, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, these girls are ready to risk it all for junior college. Like they would get knocked out and then they would have like some assistant coach. I was trying to rewind it and like see what their labels were, and it would be like assistant athletic trainer. And I'm like, okay, so that's not someone with a degree or license in what they're practicing. And they would like take a girl to the side. She would fall from like, I don't know, 50 feet up in the air, hit her head on the ground or on someone's knee. And then they would take her to the side of the mat and they would give her a fucking DUI check to see if she had a concussion. First off, you know how hard DUI tests are when you're like this, go on one foot and all that stuff, touch your nose, follow the finger. This guy was really doing that, and he was just like following with the finger. He was just like, oh, and he's like, okay, I'm going to need you, take the rest of the day off. Don't look at your phone and spend the rest of the day in a dark room with no light. Maybe go to a doctor. You know, if someone really has a concussion, they probably shouldn't be going to a dark room by themselves. I know sleeping isn't necessarily good when you have a concussion. Like there's actual concussion protocol, not telling them to stay off their phone and doing DUI check and then just go to sleep in a dark room by yourself. What? Send them to the doctor. That blood's going to be on your hands. But it happened like 3 or 4 times, and it's only like the 3rd or 4th episode where girls were just getting knocked the fuck out, and they were giving them DUI checks and then sending them away to their room. Not safe. If someone really has a concussion, maybe go to the doctors, you know, especially if I think one girl threw up and everything. Bad trainer, you know. But it's a great show if you haven't seen it. It's inspirational. It's kind of one of those things that I didn't know that world exists. It's like what was it? Like the Dance Moms kind of thing, or pageant moms. That's what it kind of feels like. Is I'm like, oh, I had no idea this world was so intense. They all know each other, and it's like their own little world that's just orbiting inside of our everyday life world. Like we all know big sports and everything like that, but there's these little niche worlds that are like violently passionate in it. You know, I did a job for this dance studio where I did some filming and did photography for them in Huntington Beach. And when I did it, I realized it was an insane world and it was like ballet and everything like that. It's cool stuff, but it was so intense. The girls were so overworked, and it was like mentally, you could just see it taxing them, that this was everything to them. And they were just so stressed out, and the tension, and you get tunnel vision on what your goals are. I remember that kind of in swimming, where like my life revolved around, because when I was in college, that's all that really mattered. Was I didn't drink or anything. I don't drink anymore. #Fountain of Youth. But in college, when I was swimming and competing, I didn't drink. I would go dry season and eat good. Fuck that. I didn't eat good. I was eating everything I possibly could, because I was working out like up to 3 times a day. I'd have morning practice where I'd swim, but I'd also do weightlifting, and then I'd have like a night practice, and then I'd have like 3-hour Saturday practices, and then swim meets and everything. And it was like I was just eating as much as I could. I used to eat whole chickens. I I would just go get a whole chicken and I would eat the whole thing. I'd eat an entire loaf of bread, like that French bread with spaghetti and meatballs. I just put an entire packet of it. I was eating so goddamn much during swim season. It was because I was burning so many goddamn calories. You should look and see what Michael Phelps would eat training for the Olympics. It was an absorbent amount of calories. It exponentially grew, and he was eating, it was something like 7,000 or 8,000 calories a day that he would eat. I was probably at like 4, so I'm almost as good as Michael Phelps is what I'm trying to tell you right now. But yeah, I remember during that time in my life, everything revolving around that, where it was like my life worth, obviously, this is dramatic, but it was around milliseconds of time, where it was like I needed to drop this much time this season to make state. So during that time, everything just was about tweaking it and putting all the effort into getting that much closer to my goals. And, I'd go to a swim meet, I'd be like, oh, if I, drop 0.10, 0.1 of a second or something like that, or half a second, or if I broke, something, it was amazing. But in reality, all it was like, that was the difference of how much faster I swam that time. Could have even been a stopwatch that people were off. But, yeah, it's crazy in those worlds of everything just niching down and how intense it is. And the smallest little thing is what separates someone having a career after and a career, at all. Learning how to monetize it. It's interesting. There was it was pretty wild. There's a UFC, we'll end on this. There was a UFC fight this weekend. And there was I think there was 2 or 3 fights that ended by disqualification. First time in history it ever happened. But one of them was completely blatant, where the dude just kneed the dude in the face on the ground. He went unconscious. It was so deliberate, or at least maybe not deliberate, but it was definitely so effective to where the dude could not fight. But then Diego Sanchez was fighting. And it's kind of a crazy thing. If you don't know MMA and fighting, Diego Sanchez is someone who's been around forever. I think he was on UFC 1 or 2. And he's had some amazing fights. He has a wrestling base, and he used to train at one of the top camps in the UFC, Greg Jackson in New Mexico. Well, he was doing phenomenal when he was with that camp, but something's happened, and Diego Sanchez is kind of a free spirit, and he left that bigger camp, and he went with a trainer who had no real background, and is teaching him all this enlightenment and a lot of hoo-ha kind of Mysterio kind of shit. And Diego Sanchez was fighting very strange. It was very hidden dragon, crouching tiger energy kind of things. You need to move around and kind of that shit. It was wild to watch. And they even had his old coach doing some of the commentating. He was like, I don't really know what's going on right now. He was getting beat very decisively and going into the third round. In the third round, he got kneed in the head while he was on the ground in a fight that if the guy hadn't kneed him, he was just going to keep dominating him and beating him up and would get a decision. He kneed him in the head. The referee separates them, and Diego Sanchez, you can tell he's okay. He's not really that hurt, but he knows the rules, and he's like, fuck, I am getting my ass kicked right now. He was like, he kept asking the ref, he goes, so if I say I can't continue, it's a disqualification win for me, right? And the ref knows why he's asking that, because he's like, oh, because Diego Sanchez, if he just says, yeah, I can't go on, he wins. He gets his win bonus, which is probably another $100,000, and he gets that W. Technically, it's a W. And you can see the ref being like, hey, well, I'll talk to the officials. He didn't want to say yes. And then Diego Sanchez already knows the answer, and he's just like, oh, man, yeah. You can see him kind of, he's like, I can't see out of my eyes. But there was no blood in his eyes. He's like, the blood just is in my eyes. I can't really see. And there's no blood in his eyes. And he was like, that's an illegal shot, man. And he took it. He took his way out and got that win bonus. And it was just funny to see. And after telling the story, I realized you had to be there. But yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. I think that's it for today, guys. I need to start getting, I know I keep saying this, but I need to start getting some guests on here. It's hard on my throat just to be carrying these conversations, you know. It's really not. I think they're going to get better with every single episode I do. I don't know if I'm trying to convince you or myself, but if you watch or listen to the show, it would mean so much if you went and gave me a review. And if on the next week or on Wednesday, this will come out Tuesday, give me some topics. Let's start having some questions in here, and we'll start going down that path. But I just want you to know, I love you. I miss you.